Hello, everyone out there in lunch therapy land. Hi, I'm Joe Fury, and I'm here to announce that on Friday, this Friday, there's not going to be an interview Friday. There's going to be Joe Fury on the road, busking in Newport Beach. Beautiful Newport Beach, yes. So we're going to be doing comedy, we're going to be doing music, we're going to be doing it all live from Newport Beach. What could go wrong? I am going to be raising money to pay for Joel's guitar repairs. Apparently he thinks I broke his guitar, and perhaps I did. But that's okay, I'm up to the challenge. Because as you know, last week I almost made $400! But I ended up making zero! So I got too greedy. So this time I'm not going to be greedy, I'm going to give love. I'm going to give out my talents to the people of Newport Beach. So come join us this Friday, not next Friday, this Friday in Newport Beach for live busking and live lunch therapy. Joel will be there. The Bat might be there. DL will be there. Sony, who knows? Amala Lopez might even show up, and her friend Francesca. Anyway, let's get into the show today. Today is lunch therapy number 343. Do elephants hear with their feet? I don't know. Let's find out. Why am I yelling? Even show up, and her friend Francesca. Anyway, do elephants hear with their feet? I don't know. Let's find out. Why am I yelling? Who knows? I'm gonna get myself a modem. 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 That was Joe Fury there. He's got me a little stressed out because he's making promises that we're going to go down to Newport Beach. I've never even been to Newport Beach. Who out there has been there to Newport Beach? Because we're going to need some help. Maybe Chuck Goldsmith. Chuck, that was your background. Thank you very much for that. It is, oh, there's a bird. Yeah, here we're taking a bath in the bird bath out here. Yeah, Chuck, thanks for that background. I don't know, was that Newport Beach? I don't know. Apparently it's like an hour away. There was a glitch in the Matrix. I think something happened with Joe there at the end. He was freaking out and screaming so much. Hopefully he's not going to do that down in Newport Beach, because I think those people, they might not be excited about that. Yeah. Jason Edelman is here. Good to see everybody. Today I'm finally going to get to the sex cult. Yeah, a lot of people have been asking me, Joe Fury was talking about the sex cult, and we just never really understood what the hell he was talking about. Hi there, little friend. Yeah, so I'm communing with the animals now. I've decided that I'm going to go out and take baths in the bird bath and do, other animal things, maybe eat stuff up off the ground, maybe climb the tree. I mean, I got a tree in the backyard and never climb it. I don't know why. It's just something to think about. I think it's time to breathe. Hey, thanks, Joel. Have alert Big Mikey at Laguna Beach. Yeah, get Big Mikey. I mean, I hope Big Mikey likes Joe Fury's, busking comedy. I don't know. Balboa Pier, great spot. Okay, thank you. This is the kind of information I need. Oh, good. There's the bird. The bird just keeps coming back. He's so cool. All right, let's breathe. Let's breathe now that we have a bird. In through the nose, out through the toes. Of course, you know that bird is not real. In through the nose. Hold it. Let it go. Yeah. All right, in through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. I went running out there. I thought you were there. I know. It's actually kind of, I'm in the Matrix again. It's sort of looping. In through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Some of you know I moved into the metaverse. So now sometimes I'm just living in the metaverse. I hope they have a Newport Beach in the metaverse. I don't know whether they will or not. Chuck? Maybe Chuck can tell me. Chuck, give me more ideas for what we're going to do in Newport Beach. So here is Newport Beach. This is a weird box down in the corner there that I don't need, but Newport Beach it looks like fun. I don't know why Joe Fury's so hell-bent on Newport Beach. I think he thinks people are going to love him. I think he thinks people have a lot of money there because they need to donate to his pathetic cause of breaking my guitar. Yeah, there's Newport Beach. Maybe Chuck could explain to me where we're going to go. I don't know, but we're going to figure that one out. There's Newport Beach's website. Looks like there's a lot of cool stuff. I mean, we're going to have internet, of course, because we have to do the show. Looks like there's a lot of good food. So even if it doesn't work out, we could, let's see, Balboa. Lots of people, bars, restaurants, the pier, the beach, the sand, wave. Yeah. You can interview the bar patrons. That sounds good. I think we're going to have some roving reporters roving around, talking to people. How will people know where to go? Well, they can go online. That's probably the safest thing. Yeah, this is the pre-production meeting for want of any pre-production, because Joe just, Joe Fury, he just says stuff. He's one of those people that just says stuff, and, I don't know, maybe he does The Secret. I don't know, but he just puts things out in the universe, and then I have to figure out how to make it happen. That's cool. I guess you got to have the dreamers that dream up all these crazy things to do. So now I'm at our hummingbird feeder. This is it here. This was given to us by a viewer of the show, Guignel, and it is a beautiful thing. But I could not catch. I don't see any birds. So I got to do something. I'm not sure what to do about that, but I got the fluid in there. The other day I was meditating out there, and a hummingbird came down and flew, and it sounded like maybe it was going to land on me, which I think is a good sign. I think it's a good sign. You will park at the bar. Oh, good. The production meeting is still going on. You will park in the Balboa Pier parking lot meters on the ocean. Awesome spot. Okay. Are you near this place at all? Maybe you can figure out how we're going to get internet. Just Jay, the comedian, is here. Hey, Just Jay, I hear you did a podcast in some kid's basement or something like that. That's super cool. I want to hear about that. Birds aren't real, so we don't have to worry about feeding them. I think hummingbirds are real, for sure. Oh, wow. Hummingbirds are over her head right now. Wow, too bad I don't have a camera for that. Okay, I wanted to mention one other thing. Well, I'll get to that in a second. Okay, there's so much today. We're gonna launch right into a roving reporter from Thailand. His name is Jeff Lohman. You've seen him on the show. He is investigating Thailand live. And let's see what he has to say. He's in some kind of a bar. He might be drunk. I don't know. Beatles are there. Wow. The Beatles. Wow. Wow, that was pretty incredible. That was Jeff Lohman. He's going to be coming back on the show later for another live report from Thailand. Thailand, yeah. Hey, Jeff. Hello, awesome. Hello, Jeff. Thai guy. Definitely. Okay, so now we're moving on. We've got something very therapeutic here from Healing Vibrations, because I know some of you come to the show just to, take off your shoes, feel the floor beneath your feet, and watch some Healing Vibration sound bath for cats. That's what this is. This is good for your cats too, by the way. Healing Vibrations, of course, is a Seattle-based therapy sound bath company. Rescue cat. He's been with Travis. That's Travis in the back there. Impenetrable bond. This is something that we've been talking about on the show. The bond between the human animal and the animal animal. Only thing that loves as much as Travis is his daily sound bath. I'm a big fan of the sound bath because I feel like it vibrates my bones. Perseus is the name of the cat. Fantastic critic. Always lets his opinion be known. I like the fire. Kind of hot here. I'm going to need to take this to Newport Beach because I'm stressing out hard about that thing, I think. So you can go to Healing Vibrations anytime. Of course, I always advertise them on the show because they're so generous with their therapy for us. You can subscribe, Healing Vibrations on YouTube. And I did this because I wanted to prepare you for the psychosexual cult experience that I'm going to tell you about, which is the next segment on this episode of Lunch Therapy. And don't worry, for those of you who might be traumatized by psychosexual cults, we're going to have a segment on elephants afterwards. So let's get into this thing. Cozy Cult Corner. Okay, before I tell you about the Cozy Cult Corner, I forgot to tell you about Vernis Clear. She is one of our favorite viewers of the show and also an incredible coach. I wanted to tell you, this is a little advertising portion. She is giving a workshop, Up Your Self-Tape Game, Vernis Clear online workshop. All the information is there. I will put it in the show notes. She is an incredible coach. She coaches Juliette Binoche. Yeah, coached her to a Oscar. So anyway, before we get on to the psychosexual cult, I want to tell you about that. Here we go. Now it's time. Psychosexual cults. Lordy. John Peckinpah arrived just in time. Okay, so let's get some creepy music going on first. Just a minute. Because this is going to be a trip. So we've been trying to talk about this for a long time, and I think maybe I'm a little scared because psychosexual cults are disturbing. So, okay, so here's the guy. That's not scary. I don't have any scary music. This is not a scary show. So I guess we're just going to have thunder. All right. Ah, thank God. Sven is here. Juliette Binoche is a legend in Europe. Yeah, so Vernis Clear coaches Juliette Binoche and also Vincent Cassel, who's one of my favorite actors. But it's never too late to be psychosexual. Okay, so here we go. This guy behind me, and Joe didn't really make this clear. Cozy and cults don't sound good together. Didn't make it really that clear. Joe, when he was talking about Joe was, I don't know, I think he was tripping or high or something like that. But he showed this fellow. And this guy, his name is Henry Stack Sullivan. And he is not the proprietor of the sexual cult. Henry Stack Sullivan is the guy that it was named after. Because the people who founded the cult, they don't really call it a cult, but they founded the organization called the Sullivanian Institute. They were big fans of this guy, Henry Stack Sullivan. And Henry Stack Sullivan was a trained psychiatrist. He worked in the industry. But he had some very kind of, I guess they were revolutionary kind of ideas. Maybe not revolutionary. Maybe just sort of disturbing ideas. he, well, he believed that the nuclear family was a big problem. And a lot of our psychological problems come from the fact that we come from this structure we call a nuclear family, which, it could be, but I mean, it seems like it's kind of important because you got to be raised by this family. And, if you're a little baby, obviously you're not going to be running around raising yourself. So I don't know what he has against that. But these people really took it to a new level, and their names are Dr. Jane Pierce and Saul B. Newton. They were big. They studied this guy, Sullivan, a lot, but then they kind of took it all to a new level. They took it completely to a new level. Saul B. Newton apparently was in the Spanish Civil War. He's, made it a little bit more heroic, I think, than what actually happened. I think he was a clerk, from what I can tell. These people that I'm depicting here, that's not them. I just used that because I could not find a picture of these people anywhere. I don't think they like to have their picture taken. I don't think they like that. So Jane Pierce, Saul B. Newton, they were married. They've started this Sullivan Institute, a group called the Sullivanians, they would call themselves. So super charismatic, apparently, this person, because this guy, Saul B. Newton, and Jane, Dr. Jane Pierce, because they convinced people to move into this institute, and they would do therapy with them. And, it seems pretty good. People like psychotherapy. A lot of times it helps people. But they had kind of a different idea. They brought in a bunch of people that were not therapists and not college educated or trained to be therapists. And then those therapists would then therapize other people who were there. And these were like smart people that were in this organization. They were like lawyers and professional people, a lot of artists. They looked for artists because artists would have the best chance at changing their lives, their own lives. That's what they believed. And then also influencing others. They wrote a book called The Conditions of Human Growth, which is loosely based on the Sullivan theories. Yeah, this seems, pretty interesting. Jose is here. Great. I'm glad you're here for this because this is more cult talk on a Tuesday afternoon. So Henry Stack Sullivan did think that the cause of social anxiety was the traditional nuclear family. So these people made a commune. They made this, Saul and Jane, they made this polyamorous commune therapy center in the late 60s. And people say that, there were a lot of like famous artists that came for therapy. I don't know if they were in the cult, but Jackson Pollock, Judy Collins, apparently. So a lot of people were drawn to them. But what would happen is once you got into this organization, your like decisions, you just give it over to the therapists. And the therapists didn't have any boundaries. So like therapists these days, you hopefully wouldn't have sex with your patients, right? But these people, that was totally fine for them to have sex with their patients. And they encouraged everybody in the whole organization to sleep with one another. And sometimes they would even like tell you who to sleep with. And sometimes it would be like, if your sexual orientation was gay, you'd have to sleep with, a person of the opposite sex, or they, just totally tell you what to do. And you weren't allowed to get married because, God forbid you should get into a situation where you create a nuclear family. But they did create families. They created babies. If you could imagine all the sex that was going on, they ended up creating a lot of babies, and the babies would go off and they'd have to be taken care of by other people, not the parents, because the parents could just ruin them, I guess. Not even a little bit of sex with the therapist? No, it's not not generally condoned, I don't think. I mean, I've seen some movies about it. Smidgen of sex. I've seen some films, some fine films about that, but not really professional, I don't think. But in their world, completely professional. And all of this was happening in the middle of New York City. They lived in these huge apartments on the Upper West Side, all living in the, and what you do is you live with people of the opposite sex, and it's just free love. I mean, it was the 60s, right? So that was kind of a popular thing. And this is weird too. Saul Newton had this idea of what he called a vanguard party. So it's funny because the word vanguard is used later on in the Nexium cult, I believe. Doesn't the guy want to be called Vanguard? So I don't know what this Vanguard thing is, but a vanguard is basically a group of people leading the way for new developments and ideas. That's a vanguard. I guess they're on the cutting edge, right? So as you can imagine, like it was probably fun living there. People were probably enjoying it. Basically like today's welfare system, have a bunch of babies and let the government pay for it. Well, Chuck Goldsmith, that sounds like maybe the way the people will be talking in Newport Beach, perhaps. Village Vanguard. Vanguard is what Keith Raniere called himself, of the Nexium cult. Hell's Angels of New York. City social climbing. Ha 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 ha. So I heard about, there's some things on the internet about this, and there are even people that talk about being in this cult. So this is where this report is coming from. This is coming from completely from people that, say they lived in this cult. So they had money. So you're like, where did they get their money? And of course they got their money from patients? From the patients. So you were supposed to give, a lot of money. You were not allowed to talk to your parents. You were not allowed to talk to your parents, your brothers and sisters, even friends of yours, because they were, screwing up your therapy. But you were allowed to talk to them if you wanted to borrow money or if you wanted them to give you money. It's totally fine. Totally talk to them. Let's see what people are saying here. It's a Newport Beach show. Yeah, where they talk about the horrors of welfare. I love Chuck. Chuck is great to have in the crowd because he is just his own person, and I love it. And it starts spirited conversation. Sounds like Bhagwan. We did talk about the Bhagwan. We had Rex Sykes on the show talking about the Bhagwan, and that was a super interesting thing. We should have him on again. I saw a lot of his followers at SeaTac Airport on their way to Oregon. Oh, so you saw them back in the day. Maybe Rex Sykes was one of them. Don't forget corporate welfare. Yeah, that's a good point. See, there's the spirited discussion about welfare, which is really interesting going on in there. Rich perverts. I can't wait to read about it. Yeah. So I have some comments from therapists about this, and it's really interesting. What does that have to do with watching my Elephant Arts hearing? This is the Cozy Cult Corner, Jason, where we talk about cults. Let's see, did they borrow money from the nuclear family? Yes, they borrowed money from their nuclear family. So that apparently nuclear families are good for something, right? Early Facebook. All right. Thank you. You're one of two. Joey Diaz. I love Joey Diaz. We got to get him on the show. Anyway, let's go on. So they had 2 apartment buildings. They lived in. They're all in there just having all the sex that they could possibly have. And, it was probably pretty fun. But then it got weird, of course. So, yeah, and the whole thing about severing ties with the families. That seems like a cult thing, right? Because, your family's going to be like, hey, you're in a cult. And you're going to be like, no, I'm not. I'm in a really good thing. Really fun thing, and you're bad. So they were told that if they didn't cut off from the parents or cut off from anybody outside, they'd become hopelessly mentally ill, and it would probably end in suicide. So I think that's one of the things about cults is you got to tell people, hey, you got to stay in. This is what I call the mind cage. You got to stay in this thing. Otherwise, bad things are going to happen. Either you're not going to have eternal life, which I think is one of the things that cults threaten you with, or you're going to become horribly mental ill and kill yourself. Yeah. So, and their theory behind that was that infants react to their mother's anxiety. And that's what makes them so anxious, and that's what makes them so screwed up. So they were really blaming moms, not just nuclear families, but moms who birthed us into this world. So anyway, they had, this is really weird too, because you think like they're having this free love in the 60s and it's just all happy, but and everybody's like total free will, and they were very political. That was the thing, is they were not only therapy, but they also were political, and they were very Marxist. But still, they had very strict rules. You could not spend time with somebody else of the opposite sex for longer than a certain amount of time, because then you might build a relationship, and then next thing you know, you're going to have a nuclear family. Unlimited sex was one of the rules. Sometimes the therapist would say, the only way you're going to get better is if you have sex with me. Yeah. Yeah. So they would also party like a crazy. They would go out to Long Island. They would get on the Long Island Railroad, and they'd just make a party out of the train. And so much so that the normal passengers would leave as they, partied out there. Excuse me. Oh, by the way, can I borrow some money? Yeah. That's the kind of thing that Joe Fury would do. They drank the Kool-Aid. It's interesting because this is also the time period of the Jonestown horrible massacre that occurred. So the therapy stayed within the building. Well, obviously they're not obviously, but they were very cloistered in these buildings because, and they didn't really, I don't think it was like Fight Club. They didn't talk about it. Don't talk about sex club. First rule of sex club, don't talk about sex club, and don't take any pictures, because there's no pictures of this stuff. I mean, okay, so then this woman comes along. Her name's Joan Harvey. So she was the new wife of Saul B. Newton. She was the new wife, and she happened to be a soap opera star. Yeah, and so this is when Saul started getting into show business. Yeah, of course. It seems like that's the thing to do. Let me just tell you what his rules were. Here are some rules. Do not speak or write or visit family or old friends, except to ask for money. Do not sleep alone. Do not sleep with the same person more than once a week. Do not sleep more than 5 hours a night, because you got to have time for the sex, I think. And do not reveal the group to anyone. So yeah, so there's the thing. So Jane Pierce left. I don't know what happened to her. It's so vague, some of these things. And so then he meets Joan Harvey, and Joan Harvey is like, I want to start a theater company. And so they start this theater company, and it's called The Fourth Wall, which here in Los Angeles, The Fourth Wall is a fun place to go for comedians to work out their stuff. Kind of interesting that it's named after a cult theater. So let's see. Do you ever understand how Manson, a lowlife, managed to build a cult around him? Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And a lot of it has to do with these weird tactics that they use. What if you were ugly and no one wanted to have sex with you? I think they would force people to have sex with you. That's what I think. I don't know. They'd probably say, you, go have sex with that person. They're probably, maybe there weren't. Maybe there were no ugly people. Is that? No. I'm sure if I joined this cult, they'd be like, dude, what are you doing here? You can't be a cult without strict rules. Right, you can't. You can't. And you need to have ramifications, I think. Just Jay's getting horny. It's noon on Tuesday, but it's never a bad time for that. Of course, they wanted to start a theater company size. So they wanted to start this theater company. So they went to this building, which was called the Truck and Warehouse Theater. This is what it looks like today. They went there, and there was already a theater company there. And they were like, we want this theater company. We want our own theater company to be here. And so they went in there and forcibly took the theater. This is one of the plays that Truck and Warehouse was doing. Obviously, the Ramones were there, so that was a cool place. But then what happened is the fourth wall people went in there, and there was just like a big fight. And the cops came, and the Saul B. Newton, he wanted to train people to resist the cops. So he had them lock themselves in there and keep the cops out. And it was like a whole big thing. I don't think anybody was truly hurt. Actually, Manson was quite the charmer. Most of his shtick was pseudo-psychology. Really knew how to be a politician. Apparently, he was an actor, right? An aspiring musician. Ramones Forever, Truck and Warehouse Theater, Bizarro. Jose says, calling him a lowlife ignores the power of persuasion of people who know how to push the right buttons. Is that good, though? Certainly in advertising, I suppose it's good. Okay, then this happened. So 3 Mile Island happened. Seems like such a non sequitur, but in Pennsylvania, 3 Mile Island, there was a nuclear reactor meltdown, and this sent Saul B. Newton into a frenzy because he was certain that this was going to have like incredible ramifications in New York. So he took everybody he could find, and they left New York City for Orlando, Florida. And they holed themselves up in this Howard Johnson's hotel. And this was also around the time when the Jonestown Massacre happened. And all of a sudden there was this thing called the Cult Awareness Network, which was a kind of anti-cult thing. And they were kind of after him. So they took down there. They ran down to Orlando, Florida. So apparently they don't like nuclear families, and they don't like nuclear disasters. So I guess it's consistent, I guess, right? Let's advertise on lunch therapy. It's a good idea. I loved Howard Johnson's restaurants. Now we're advertising. He was an inspiring actor and musician. Having the power of persuasion is amoral. How you use it is the thing. You mean it's not good or bad, how you use it. Interesting. They have a button on nuclear. Yeah, they don't like nuclear. Yeah, so they went down there, and then when they came back, finally, after, there they are in Orlando. There are no real pictures of them, but that could be them in Orlando at the Howard Johnsons. I was a waitress. Were you a waitress for the sex cult in 1973? Wow, just Jay, you just got amazing stories. I think you went to Florida to get some fentanyl. Could be. So they were big, kind of into the drugs. But then they came back to New York City, and the people that didn't go to Orlando, they were like ostracized completely. And they tried to continue the cult, but then there were like lawsuits about paternity and a lot of stuff about child custody. And the thing kind of fell apart. In 1991, Saul Newton died. Yeah. And that was kind of the end. This is his obituary in the New York Times. And that's kind of the story, at least from what I've pieced together, the Sullivanian cult. And, Joe Fury brought it up, and I thought, hey, let's find out what this is all about. And I think it's interesting because I find what Jose's talking about to be super interesting, why people would follow somebody kind of against their own, benefit. I mean, maybe it's a benefit to have sex with a bunch of people, but it's really not in the end. It never kind of works out, I don't think. So this guy, this just to close on this psychoanalyst who wrote about, he read the book and he studied this. It actually was in a book review. His name is Shaw, and he said, malignant narcissists who promote a cult around themselves succeed in enslaving their followers through seduction, intimidation, and humiliation. Their narcissism compels them to deny and expel their own self-loathing, fear, and shame, which is the result of their own traumatic upbringing. They typically rewrite their histories, like the Spanish Civil War, and creating heroic, triumphant pasts, reversing their impotence and humiliation they actually experienced. That kind of sums it up, doesn't it? I think it's, where are the children? So there are people out there that, talk about their experience. Certainly there must be Sullivanian children out there. Jose said it's really about filling an emotional and mental void. Narcissistic tendencies are useful there. Chuck says, the moral of the story is do not engage in wife or husband swapping. As fun as it may seem, I just don't understand why people think that would be fun. It just seems like a nightmare. Have you ever seen the ice storm where they put their keys in the bowl at like a party and then you end up with you pull out keys and you end up whoever's keys those are? And, it's probably not somebody that you'd choose to have sex with. It just seems awkward, like you're just asking for awkwardness. All right, it's time to move on. We're going to move on to elephants because this came up last week about elephants and can they hear with their feet. So we got to move on. This has been a segment of Cozy Cult Corner. Jose says wife swapping isn't terrible. It's an experience. Okay, so last week we were talking about the hyrax, this animal that is a distant relative of the elephant. And we were like, why are they related? It just seems like they're completely different animals. Obviously, this is a small rodent, but why they're so cute. It's called a hyrax. They're rock hyraxes. And hey, super chat from Just J Comedian. Soon we're going to be seeing a dinosaur appear in the upper left-hand corner. Thanks, Jay, for that. Great cozy cult. Do more of them. All right, I like the feedback. We are a very cozy cult. Very few rules. So yeah, that's why Cult of the Hummingbird is nothing like this. Nothing like this. So hyrax. So anyway, those are related to elephants. And why? Because they actually do have the beginnings of tusks. Weirdly enough, they have because elephant tusks are actually teeth. Who knew that? They're very large teeth. And the hyrax has that. And we talked about this earlier. They've got testicles that are up inside their body, and the women have breasts between their front legs, and there's just a lot of similarities. And they all come from the same kind of dinosaur, which I can't think of the name of it now, but they all come from that same one. Maybe, I think I've got a picture here. Yeah, it's called I wish we had some teachers here today. It's called the tetrahedra. Tetrahedra? Doesn't seem right. Yeah, Tethytheria. That's this guy down in the lower left-hand corner. And then all these animals came out of it, including the one behind me. It's just the hyrax. Yeah. So anyway, let's get on with the elephants because we want to answer this question, do elephants hear with their feet? There we go. Okay. So here's some elephants. And elephants are the largest mammal in the world, our largest land mammal, largest land animal even on the planet. Yeah, and they can live to be 60 or 70 years old. There's two species of them. I think a lot of you might know this. There's the Asian elephant, and there is the African elephant. And some say that the Asian elephant, the ears, this is probably an Asian elephant, the ears are smaller and they look like India. And then people say that the African elephant, the ears are larger and they look like Africa. So that's a good way to remember it. Other differences between these two elephants is the African elephant actually has 2 fingers at the end of its trunk, and the Asian one just has like 1 finger. They have fingers at the end of their trunks. This music is it's like we're in church or something. Maybe we're in the Church of the Elephant. Cult of the Hummingbird, Church of the Elephant. The trunk has 15,000 muscle units in it, and it is the most sensitive organ found in any mammal. And they can suck up water in their trunk, and they can also use it as a snorkel when swimming. And their wrinkly skin helps them retain water. And they use sunscreen, but their sunscreen is mud. So if you want to save money on sunscreen, just, it's right there below your feet. What's your definition of hear? That's a good point. It's a good point. Do they hear things with their feet? Well, we're going to find out, because I'm going to tell you. I'm the one who's going to tell you here. Because I know about elephants. If there's one thing I know about, it's elephants. They're constantly eating. They communicate through vibrations. So this is where we get into this whole thing. They communicate through vibrations. And a lot of times those vibrations are too low for us to hear. So even if you're like, I don't think they're communicating, you don't know because you can't hear it. I gotta find some more fun music because now it's getting fun because I'm going to tell you about the hearing of the elephants through their feet. And let's just see. Oh yeah, this is much better. So the elephants, you're not gonna freaking believe this about the elephant's feet. It's just gonna be too much for you to handle. And I'm gonna show it to you. What they do is they create vibrations in the ground to communicate. And sometimes that means like stomping around, and other times it means they make all kinds of sounds. In fact, elephants purr like cats sometimes. Yeah, they purr like cats. That's a pretty cool looking digital elephant behind me. And they also can hear each other through the ground. So miles and miles away, they can hear each other through their feet. And the reason that is, and I'm going to show you here, you're not going to believe this. Oh no. I hope I have it. I've got a picture of the foot of an elephant. And it's going to blow your mind. Of course, I don't have it. Oh, there it is. Here's an elephant foot. Check this out. That's what an elephant foot looks like. And don't the bones look sort of like somebody's foot that you know? Like humans? Or humans, as the bat says. So they've got a foot bone in there. I would never thought that. I would think that they had like a leg and then just like a big round bone at the bottom there. But instead, it's like they're wearing high heels. And they've got these wild-looking feet. I got another picture here that I'm going to show you that gives you a little bit different view of the foot. So it's not exactly like a human foot, but it's got toes. And it's sitting on this kind of fatty cushion. Vernus loves elephants. And elephants love you, Vernus, as well. So I think they do. I think they love us. I don't know. But okay, so fatty cushion in there makes it sort of like a drum. And then the other thing that allows, so the vibrations come up through the foot, through that fatty cushion, up through their bones, and then in their ears, they have a giant inner ear. Giant. And that allows them to hear these things through their feet. So there's the answer. Yes. Yes. Elephants hear through their feet. Don't you forget it. So the answer to Guignol is yes, hear, because it actually goes up through their ear, the bones in their ear, which are extremely large. The other thing that is extremely large about elephants is their temporal lobe. Their temporal lobe is larger and denser than in people. And that's why people say elephants never forget. Because the temporal lobe is where you keep all your memories. Sven says they get aggressive when they're horny. In Serengeti, they stampeded us. Powerful, but scary. Maybe they were in the Sullivanian cult. You never know, Sven. You never know. Elephants never forget us. They never forget what we do to them, which is pretty bad. 90% of African elephants have been wiped out in the past century. And as far as the Asian elephants, they're down 50%. That's not good. They have extremely developed emotional lobes. Okay, let me get the feet off of here so that you can see the elephants. Yeah, there's an elephant taking a bath. That's what we were talking about earlier. Jason Edelman was saying that elephants, they bathe. When we were in India, you know, there's relationships between the keepers of the elephants and the elephant because they live their whole lives together. They start out young, the elephant's young, and they have a very similar lifespan to us. So you could have a relationship with an elephant your entire life from when you're a little person. So that is our segment on elephants. We love elephants. It's the national animal of Thailand, so maybe Jeff Lohman can help us out with that some more. Elephants' brains have extremely developed emotional lobes. There is a sinus cavity in there. Oh, in their foot. Maybe. They hear things with soul. Yeah. They always leave their mark after the circus is over on the streets. All right, so let's see one more roving reporter from Jeff Lohman here. He's still there.
I ended up in Los Angeles in 1989 and Guns N' Roses here.
Wow.
Playing Appetite for Destruction. So you can see them behind me here. Pretty amazing.
Shit.
Yeah, pretty good.
This is not the dance break. We're almost to the dance break. But this is pretty good. Good warm-up. Guns and hoses. We're going to find out.
We don't know where to go.
All right, so that is Jeff Lohman. This is great. We're going to have some other roving reporters on the show. Hopefully just Jay will tell us about what's happened in the basement with the podcasters. So that should be pretty interesting. Hopefully it's not a psychosexual cult, but we're going to find out. Just go to In-N-Out Burger. Love that bar. That bar is cool, isn't it? You know, the actual band, I should show you the actual band. There's the actual band. This is a little better rendition of them. It's kind of an awesome life. Check your phone. Checking my phone. Yeah, that's okay. So Jose just sent me a picture of Saul and Jane, but actually, I thought that too. Let me turn this down a little bit. Everything's a little crazy here. I thought that was a picture of Saul and Jane as well, but it was Jackson Pollock and that singer that I mentioned earlier, whose name I can't think of. So good to see Jeff, yeah. Is there a Zankus in Newport? That's a very good question. The production meeting really fell apart today, so we got to figure out what's going on in Newport Beach. Judy Collins, that's who it is. So he sent me this thing. Let's see if I can show it to you. So yeah, so he sent me these pictures of these people, just Jose, and that's the problem with the Sullivanian cult stuff, is that the pictures are all wrong. They'll have like a picture of Jackson Pollock, a picture of Judy Collins, and they'll say that that's them, and it's unfortunately not. Yeah, Saul is the guy next to him on the swing. I don't know what you're talking about. All right, we got to end the show. We must end the show. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here today. And thank you for this band, which I don't know the name of them, but maybe Jeff can tell us. I love the shenanigans that are going on in the bar. There's people coming up, just jumping up on stage. This is obviously a very famous band in this bar. People are really enjoying it. I'm going to do it now, a dance break. It's almost like we've got one. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Newport Beach coming up on Friday. God knows what's going to happen. We're going to stream it all live here on Lunch Therapy, episode 300 and God knows what. Dance break time. This is the Driftwood Sailors, Amanda Lee Piers. As usual, Led Zeppelin. Okay. Guy next to him on the swing.
He's falling alright. This time I was on my way. Thanks to you.
Dance him if you got him.
Such a pleasant stay. Now it's time for me to go. The autumn moon lights my way. But now I smell the rain with the pain, and it's headed my way.
This is so good.
Oh, sometimes I go so tired. I know one thing I gotta do is ramble on. Now it's time is now. I gotta sing my song. Go around the world, I gotta find my girl on my way. I've been this way since yesterday. I gotta ramble on. Time for me for my dreams. Got no time for spreading moves.
Good vibes.
The time has
right.
come to be gone.
That's the theme, right? Good vibes. So good. All right, everybody, ramble on. If you happen to be in Newport Beach, let me know, because you can join in on the shenanigans. We're going to have people like, I don't know what's going to happen. We're going to have people out there roving around. We're going to have Joe there. God knows what. Life's a tale that can't be told. The acoustic one, yeah, that's what I figured you were saying. Her guitar.
Days ago, days of old, when magic filled the air.
Joe got my guitar fixed. I had to pay for it, but thank you, Dave Neely, for fixing my guitar.
I met a girl so fair, but got on, and the evil one slipped off and stepped away with her.
I love the Lord of the Rings stuff in this music. It is rambling. Next up, Elephant Sex Cult. There's a guitar that Sven likes. I don't know what's going on with Amanda Lee Pierce, but she's good. For that series, Synthetic.
I'm gonna bring it on.
It's like a whole other song right here. I'll just let it go for a while. It's almost over. It's so sad that it's over.
I'm gonna bring it on home. I'm gonna
Bring it on home.
home to you.
She really does.
We're gonna